Story comes from India, thousands of years ago, and it's called The Broken Tusk. I heard some mms, like somebody knows that story. So in ancient times, there lived a sage, a wise and gifted poet, whose name was Vyasa. And one day, a great and beautiful story came into his mind. I must recite it soon. I feel it in my heart. There was only one problem. I have no scribe to write this story down. The words and the rhythms, they tremble on my tongue. But if I stop to write them, the rest of the story might die inside me. I must find someone who can write it down as fast as I sing it, so that people who live long years from now can know this story. And so Vyasa decided to pray to Brahma, the great God who created all things. He spent many long hours, days and weeks in prayer, until finally Brahma appeared to him in a blaze of white light. "O Lord Brahma, I hold in my heart a story of great truth and wisdom, but I have no one to write it down for me and for all the people through all time." Now this unsung story seemed to hover in the air. Even Brahma himself trembled as he felt its strength and power. Ask Ganesha, the elephant-faced one. He can make all obstacles disappear. Surely he will help you. And then Brahma disappeared again in his blaze of light. And so Vyasa prayed again, this time to Ganesha, who appeared to him shortly. "O dancing God with the elephant head, you who can hold the whole world in your great belly, do me the honor of being my scribe. Write down the story with which my mind overflows, so that people can read it and learn from it." What is this story? Well, it is the story of life and death, of good and evil, war and peace. When Ganesha laughed, his whole belly, enormous belly, shook, and shook the whole world with it. "Me. There are many stories in this world. I'm sure yours is filled with marvels, but why do you ask me?" "O Lord of planets, problems and obstacles vanish when you come here. Please help me." "All right, sage Vyasa, I'll be your scribe, but under one condition. You must not stop or rest while you tell your story, for any reason. If you do, I'll stop writing and go away, and your story will remain half written." Well, Vyasa thought about that, and his response, "O you of the long trunk and the lotus feet, I bow to you, but I too have a condition. I'll not stop while telling my story, but you must understand all that I sing as I sing it. You must grasp every word before you write it." "Oh, very well." And then Ganesha crossed his mighty legs, adjusted the jeweled crescent moon on his forehead, and announced, "I am ready, most holy one." Vyasa sat up straight. Om. He chanted the sound that is the sound of creation, the sound the universe made when it first began. The tone was deep and strong, and it echoed up mountains and down valleys, so that all the world knew that Vyasa had begun his story. At the sound of it, creatures of the earth grew silent and still. It told of cousins who loved and hated and fought each other, of power, of friends and enemies, of joy and sadness. It told the story of life and all that it holds, both good and evil. For hundreds of days and hundreds of nights, the story rang out. Who hears this tale shall find with ease the path to eternal life, sang Vyasa. Who tells it shall bestow gift more precious than jewels. All the while, as Vyasa chanted the verses, Ganesha wrote fast and furious. Vyasa was careful not to pause. But as time went on, he grew a little tired. And so once in a while, just to give himself time to think about the next part of the story, he would throw in some difficult words or long, roundabout sentences. So Ganesha would grumble and have to stop for a moment to think about what Vyasa had just said to try to understand before he wrote it. Suddenly, the rhythm of the reciting and the listening and the writing, so much like the ebb and flow of the tides, was rudely interrupted by a sharp cracking sound. My pen! Worn with so much use, Ganesha's pen had broken. He looked around for something else with which to carry on his writing. Only soil and grasses were all around. Now Ganesha had long, elegant tusks, polished and pearly smooth, with fine, sharp tips. And so, reaching for his right tusk, Ganesha quickly flexed his muscles and broke it off. And then, without missing a stroke, he continued writing the verse with the broken tusk that Vyasa had already begun to recite. It took Vyasa 3 years and 100,000 verses to complete the tale. The Devas and the Asuras and the people from all three worlds gathered to listen. The sun and moon seemed to stand still to hear it. Finally, after a long time, the great poem had come to an end with the last faint echoes of the very last words. The Devas showered Vyasa with rose petals. Ganesha yawned and stretched and rubbed his enormous belly in satisfaction. People cheered. Music echoed through the skies. Even the Asuras, the enemies of the gods, were silent in amazement. And from that time to this, Hindu children are told tales from the Mahabharata, the great story that Vyasa had dictated to Ganesha. Statues of Ganesha, sculpted down through the centuries, through the millennia, have depicted him with a broken right tusk. He holds the broken piece in his hand so that all the people who see him may remember the great bargain that was struck between Vyasa and Ganesha to work together to bring this great epic tale into the world, and how they kept their promises to each other. And so one of Ganesha's names is Ekadanta, which means one tusk. Writers say that he is their special inspiration whenever they are having difficulty transforming their thoughts into words. And often in the jungle, old bull elephants who have lost a tusk remember him fondly.